Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's the build-up show. Liverpool are back in action. No more international breaks between here and glory. Speaking of glory, I've got the glorious Ste alongside me.
Oh,
Nice day.
I've actually got morning glory, even though it's 5 in the afternoon.
Wow, that's impressive. You had this all that time.
I need to go to the doctors, don't I? There's an issue here.
You have some blue chewing gum, maybe. Yeah, and the equally glorious Bailey Shaw.
Thank you. I was expecting that to be the glorious Ste.
The living chessboard himself. Welcome, gents, to this one. Liverpool, Tottenham Hotspur. Ste, yep. When I wrote this, so Chris and I just recorded the podcast, and I really pumped myself up talking about the remaining of the season. So when I wrote this, it was a bit cold. It was like last night on the train home, so I wasn't really in the mindset for it. So I had it as, would be lovely to come back to an easy game. But what do you think? This situation, coming back off the international break, I think we cast a jealous glance a little bit at Man City, because on paper, they've got Fulham, we've got Spurs. We know ultimately it's a harder game for us, and we could do with them dropping points. Yeah. What would you rather?
I'd rather have Fulham at home than Tottenham at home, yeah. But it is what it is. I mean, it's largely irrelevant at this point who we play now. It's just, can we win that game? Because we're probably going to need to win, 6, maybe 7. It's going to be hard. So, yeah, I get your point, but I suppose last time coming off an international break, we beat them. We've won every game after an international break this year, albeit they've all been 3 aways. Mm-hmm. We haven't had to play at home yet. But to be honest, I fancy us against anyone at home. Yeah. Whether it's Tottenham, Fulham, whoever, I would fancy us to get a result. Even Man City, I'd back us to do it. So I think that's the most important thing. I don't like going away games after international breaks. Having said that, we've done well, like I just said, we've done well in those. But yeah, it's a tough game. But I think you're getting a Tottenham team who are desperate. And I think that's where it's slightly different. It's that they've been so poor recently that they've dragged themselves into a battle they never thought they were going to be in. Yeah. They thought they were going to be in the battle looking up, and not that they're now in a battle looking down. So that's what's changed.
The thing where I hope springs eternal with me, Bailey, you know this. It's one of those games where, as much as Steve's right, again, on paper, like a Fulham at home, you'd be like, great, because there's a nice, easy game. Well, for a start, we just saw that it's not quite as easy as that, albeit I'll be playing Fulham away. I think there's such a potential bonus here from having it be a big game, which means that there's two things. A, there's no excuses from us for getting up, getting pumped up, making a nice big atmosphere, good kick-off time and all that kind of stuff. But also a team that's going to come and have a game of football, because as much as it can be seen as a negative, Spurs are not on the beach, they've got stuff to play for. Steve's right. They're not in the title race anymore. They're very much being dragged into the mire of that. They could end up in the Europa League. Yeah. So they've got. I could look at that as a fearful thing. That makes it a hard game. But it also means that look, I wouldn't like to come off an international break without rhythm and come up against a team that's going to park the bus at Anfield and not offer anything and look to just stifle us against a team that we should be beating when we've got no atmosphere, etc., etc.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's what I've wanted. Like I like international football, but only when it really matters. So like I watch the Euros, watch the World Cup and stuff. But when it's friendlies and shit like that, I can't be arsed. And then when there's so much of it on, I'm just like twiddling my thumbs. Obviously, me and Sarah were in the office the other day, just the two of us, like, a bit boring when Liverpool aren't playing football. And I think it's exactly what we need. Is sort of like, we can't afford to sort of have an easy sort of get the ball rolling start again. So obviously, with the 7 games left, they're all so important. And in a way, if you had a Fulham and then maybe a Burnley or something like that, and you were ramping yourself up, start high, come in, sort of baptism of fire, set the tone, and then carry that level on across the next 7 games.
Absolutely.
Because we're so obviously Liverpool, look at where we are. We look at it from our point of view. If I'm Tottenham, the last thing I want after a run of games where we haven't won for ages, off the back of an international break where you're probably going to get 2 days with your squad prep time, is to go to Anfield. I mean, that best home record in the league. We've lost 1 game all season. We haven't lost a home game in the league, all season. That must be tough for them. That's the fixture they don't want. They've got City down the line. I know that, and that's going to be a big game for them, a tough game away. But I think if you ask Tottenham fans, the last thing they would want after the international break is us away. I think any team. I think that's I say us and City away are the two least desirable games.
Yeah.
So from their point of view, they're probably bricking it more than we are.
I'd look. Let's be honest. The team you want is Bournemouth again. You know what I mean? You want a team that's going to come, try and play a bit of football, then ultimately get rolled over and have the belly tickled. All that. For me, if we were to play a team that's going to come and make it dead hard for us in the defensive thing and go, you've got to break it down, and if you don't do it, it drags out, and then the nerves creep into the fans. We don't get to think about being nervous in this one. We might do build into the game because it's a big game and you get your pre-match nerves or whatever. But there's so much because there is no real rivalry between us and Spurs. Not like there is with Chelsea or Arsenal or United or City these days. But they're another big team. It is still regarded as a big game. It's a top six. It's a top six game. Our focus is on it being that. You know what I mean? On roaring that and out singing them and out fighting them and all this kind of stuff. That we won't have time to worry about the negative side of things, which I think is a big bonus.
And like I said, the thing with Tottenham is they're a good team. They're third in the league, and they have been in poor form in the league. There's no getting away from that.
On that, as you say, in the recent form, they've lost 3 and drawn 1. Burnley, Chelsea, Southampton are defeating the draw.
And even the draw against Arsenal, they should have lost them. Aubameyang misses a late pen, doesn't he? And Spurs get a pen that's offside. So it was one. They haven't played well in the league. Obviously, they've had the European results, which have been good. But yeah,
the European stuff. Because it's easy for us to look at the form and look at it top line. You can't unpick the fact that they're 2 great results against Dortmund and in the middle of that.
And I was about to say, would Pochettino do what he did in Dortmund? Albeit he had a 3-0 lead, but he very much went and parked the bus there. He got the away goal. They were 4-4-2 for a while. They were under the cost. He went 4-5-1 and he just kind of saw the game out very professionally, which it was a bit un-Spurs like, if I'm honest. They got knocked out of last year's Champions League by being too open against Juventus and getting done on the break. So will he do that? I don't know, because what we have to remember is a point's a good result for Tottenham in this game. Yeah. I think if you ask most Tottenham fans now, and again, I don't know any personally off the top of my head, but I think most would say, you know what, I would take a point here and move on. And a point's it isn't the end of the world for Liverpool, don't get me wrong, it doesn't kill us, but it's a game that
It's 2 points drop.
Yeah, it's a home game. We should be expecting maximum points for every home game.
I think psychologically from them, I agree. I think a point to come away with. I wonder whether they definitely need something from this game though, Bailey.
Yeah.
They need to not get beat in that. And whether that influences how they do approach the game, I'm not so sure. But I choose to hope that it means that they will have a go at something, because look, it is in the DNA of that side certainly, because psychologically, losing to Liverpool on the run of that, to come back after the international break, and it's one thing for us to drop points against Spurs and we can go, we can rationalise it as it's a tough game, etc. All of a sudden that gets tagged onto their thing, and again they've got Arsenal breathing down the necks, they've got United breathing down the necks, they've got potentially Chelsea. If Chelsea picks 3 points up on them, then
it isn't beyond the realms of possibility if they lose, and that they could be 6th in a couple of weeks' time. From a team that were battling for a title, they're only 4 points ahead of Chelsea. Yeah, a loss here and a draw somewhere else, and before you know it, they're out there at the 6th. So it is a big game for them, and I think that's what worries me slightly. You mentioned about them being open and going for it, and I don't think he will be that way inclined. I think they'll come here knowing that a point's decent, and I think they'll be more defensively solid than we've seen them. I think you'll get more Dortmund away than Dortmund at home, where they were pretty open.
Yeah, it's fair, but then I think you referenced it in the podcast, is that when you have bad result after bad result after bad result, it's either you look at that as, this is a good thing to look at because they're going to carry this form on, or it's got to stop somewhere. And for me, it's a case of, if we can take it to them, really sort of kick them up the arse and say, this is Anfield, this is what we do. Push that on, because it will eventually happen. It happens to all teams. They stop this rot, but they've got City in the space of 2 weeks, 3 times, and it's like if we can punish them, and it goes, the further that goes on, and the more frustrated they get as a team, the more angry that they and desperate they are for a win, the more it benefits us. So
you want them going into those City games. I mean, they'll go into the Champions League one giving it their absolute all, but you want them. I don't want them giving up the ghost on top 4 and throwing their eggs into the Champions League basket as such. Yeah. You want it to be as close as possible, or whatever, or you don't want them comfortable so they can afford to take their eyes off the Premier League. You want them hungry for that. Just on the Liverpool stuff, obviously we've seen Naby Keita back in training, I think good thing. We know Joe Gomez is back in training. Oxlade-Chamberlain was talk that he would be available from this kind of period. I don't think we've heard anything on Trent yet. There's pictures of him in training, but not. I didn't see any pictures of him out.
No, he's saying
on the pitch.
He's got a bad back, hasn't he? He had this back thing, and Klopp said he won't know until Thursday, Friday whether he's available, whether he's just playing the game because he did miss England, so he's got the Ryan Giggs bad back, or he actually has got a bad back. We don't know that.
I think that's a good thing. Obviously, they don't know that either.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, keep it by all means. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell Tottenham anything. That would be a huge blow if he was missing. Like I don't think, other than the front three and obviously Van Dijk and stuff, Trent's one of our most important players now, isn't he? And that we have struggled when he's not been there, and because basically we just don't have anything else. I don't know whether Gomez would be ready to go and play straight away 90 minutes against Tottenham at right back. So you would be looking at Milner or Henderson again, and that obviously isn't ideal. It's not what you want. So I think if Trent's missing, that's a big blow. Is there maybe a better?
Spurs don't quite have the pace out in the way they don't use wingers in the same way that other big teams would hurt us. So is it maybe slight? I mean, sounds like I'm setting us up for something here, but maybe slightly less of an issue if you've got a Milner in right back for this game.
I think it depends. I think you can take this in a sec. Obviously, you've just looked at the sort of formations they play. But if it's like you're saying, with it's going to be Dortmund away and they're just going to sit back. I mean, that's exactly where Trent would be so ideal for us, because he's so good at pinning their defence back and letting us use this left and the right wing, and he's so important to have, making sure Salah has a good game with the service that he gives him. But with Milner, I feel like it's safe. Like I think you don't lose much defensively, but you lose so much going forward, and it's sort of that right channel becomes sort of non-existent. You have to sort of go left.
I suppose you're right, but it's going to be what it's going to be. Yeah. You know what I mean? We don't have anyone as good as Trent Alexander-Arnold, so it's more that thing of, is it Milner? Is it Milner? Is it Henderson? It's got to be.
You'd think Milner. Spurs, they don't really use wingers, but they have got pace. Yeah. So if listen, the second they see James Milner at right back on the team sheet, they just tell Son, or they tell, if Moore is playing, he's quick as well, just a little bit wider, And we've seen Milner struggle against good wingers, and they're both good players. So when Milner played right back, I think Zaha gave him a bit of a time, didn't he? Ended up getting sent off in that game. So that's the thing, is that Milner's he's a fine, capable right back, but you would be a little bit concerned that. But then, you know what? Having said that, they're both good players and they can get the better of Trent. So it's one of them. Is that I would be, like Bailey said, I'd actually be more worried about it from an attacking point of view. Defensively, I think they've both got their slight limitations, Milner and Trent. But going forward, I agree. A lot of our game is, we kind of leave Trent on an island. When we attack down the left, there's lots of interplay between Mane, Robertson, Wijnaldum sometimes sifts over. When it's Trent on the right, because Salah goes wherever he wants, which is fine, that's his game. Trent's kind of on his own, and I think he's all right to do that.
We trust Trent with well. But that's the good thing about Milner. We did that with Milner at left back.
We did, yeah.
To be fair, as a full back playmaker kind of thing, and Trent is that in this team now, which is why the Milner thing doesn't bother me so much. I 100% agree that Trent's streets ahead of everything else we've got in that position. He's 20 years old. What's he going to be in 4 years' time?
Very rich. If you look at this Under Armour deal, let's come out of the panel.
Definitely. Well, I don't know if he keeps spending it on community projects.
Stop buying schools.
Rich in soul, but probably not in bank account. Honestly, fair play. Brilliant.
Makes me feel bad about myself.
Honestly, makes me feel like a terrible.
There's a 20-year-old building a school.
No, because we have got a charity box upstairs that we are giving graciously to. The sweet box.
I was going to say, there is a pack of... That's more me. Well, I'll say, because I'm trying to diet, obviously you can't tell yet. I haven't contributed to the sweet box more, so I feel even worse now.
Yeah.
Trent's making me just feel less of a person.
Less of a man. Less of a human being.
That's fine.
This is a great thing. Our good friend Adam Rowe, the stand-up comedian, did that great video about heckler, with the vegan heckler, and he's like, it's not just the problem is that these people got no problem with people doing brilliant things. It's just all you really doing was making me feel worse about myself and making me realise what a horrible human being I am. Yeah. So thanks Trent, you beautiful, wonderfully talented, big-hearted man. No, but we don't, and we want him in the team, I think. But actually, I'm encouraged by it. It was mentioned to us. Chris and I had a conversation with someone the other day, and he brought up the Klein stuff, and I was half in the conversation. I was playing my Switch, and I heard Chris go, "Oh God, I've not heard anyone mention Klein in weeks now." And it's funny. I remember saying, I did something for the Echo at the time, saying no one will talk about Klein in a month's time when Liverpool win the games. But that's the thing for me, is that I still come back to it. Milner's not a world class right back.
You could go Gomez. I wouldn't be, if Gomez is fit. You could throw him in.
Do you think a very, very, very fresh Gomez after 3.5 months would do a better job than a Milner who's played there a lot?
It's a good question though. But Milner's had the international break off, hasn't he? You know,
he's been running around Dubai.
Well, exactly. But he's the one. He always plays after international breaks because he's there. Yeah. He gets the longest tactical instruction. Yeah. It's just whether we want to put it whether that tactical instruction has been you're getting trained and right. You know, this is what you're going to be doing for right back, and you've had an extra spell of that, or you know, as normal, you go back to a midfield of either Fabinho or Henderson with Gini and Milner in the midfield because that. But equally, like Lallana's been at home as well, hasn't he? Like, so, yeah. Interesting decision. On that, because we've not prepared 11s in any way, shape or form for this, and Steve's got to go and pick his kids up, so we haven't got time to do it. So let's just talk through, you know, the midfield. I think that's the big decision point.
It's the only one, isn't it, really?
Adam Lallana?
That's what I've put down. I did one just in case, and Lallana is my chosen midfielder. I think that, so he's had, start against Fulham, who was the game afterwards? No, it was Burnley, Fulham that he's now played in, hasn't he? And I think I said when I did the starting 11 that I don't think he was ready for a European game. Because people were putting in the chat, what about Lallana? Has he earned a game against Bayern Munich? And I was like, I think he's had a very good game against Burnley. I wouldn't put him against Bayern, but we'll see how he performs at the weekend. Had a really good game then. I think he's staked his claim to have a go there. And I think that you look at the other options, you got Henderson, and I think he's a bit too defensive for my liking because I've got Fabinho and Gini in there as well. So solid. I think Lallana could have this is his time, I think, to show us how he can do it.
I think we're being. This is how we're going to play. There was a lot of conversation of would we do horses for courses? Would we see 4-2-3-1? Between certain teams, 4-3. I think not. I think we know what our best formation. We know what our approach is. We've got the time to train it for a bit now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me to see Lallana in. The question is I guess the minutes in the legs, is Fabinho a better option than Henderson? Inevitably there'll be some people rolling their eyes at even the suggestion, but it's a consideration. Fabinho, Gini, Lallana, I'm absolutely fine with that as a midfield three.
Yeah, I would play Henderson and Fabinho with Wijnaldum, if I'm honest, and go just a little bit tighter. But again, that's just maybe I'm being a bit.
The Fabinho thing for me, for too many years in recent years, I've watched Dembele for them. Obviously gone now, but he'd be such a physical presence in that midfield. I've watched him bully our midfield when he just gets up. You know, we haven't been able to get near him. That's why I love Fabinho. For the first time in so long, we've got a proper powerhouse in midfield, and not just a grok one, not just a stupid one who just kicks people and whatever. As we know, he's such a complete package. I'm excited to see it. I just want to see Fabinho tested in every possible form.
It makes sense. I think he should be nailed on. He should be doing. He's the one of if you said one, I'd guarantee him playing. I think Wijnaldum was pretty much earned himself a place, and then it is the other one. It's Henderson, Keita, Lallana.
You'd suspect Keita's.
I wouldn't think he'd be putting
Keita straight in. But then again, you think back to it. There could have been, if Keita sticks that chance away that Mane gives him, which he shouldn't give to him, he should just give to Salah, hindsight, at Wembley, that could have been the thing that really kick-started Keita, because we saw that was the first time we really saw what Keita was meant to be transformative to our team, because he'd been fine to that point. Him being that extra attacker, supporting on the counter-attack. So, you know, maybe it could be that Spurs is just a good team for him to play against.
What about, so obviously, what if we played Fabinho, Henderson and Gini up top? Because obviously he's just done that.
We've just had an international break where he's been class again for that Holland, and everyone goes, why doesn't he do that for us? No, it's a valid question.
What makes it difficult is, Bailey touched on it before, is that we don't know what Tottenham are going to do. Because their last 4 games, they played like 4 different formations. So, like I mentioned, they were 3 at the back at one stage against Dortmund. They played wing-backs. Jan Vertonghen was like the best left back in the world in that game. They went to Southampton the last game and played like a bit of a diamond where it was Kane and Moura were up front and he left Son on the bench. They played 3 at the back again against Arsenal, I think. 3-4, but 3 with the wing backs. And then they played 4-2-3-1 against Chelsea. So
bad.
It's hard to know what type of midfield to pick because you don't know what you're going to come up against. I've gone for Fabinho and Henderson in my preferred, or what I would do, is because I think Tottenham, whatever they play in midfield, whether it's a 3 or a 4, two of those will be a bit more offensive. So it'll be someone sitting, whether it's Dyer or Winks, probably you'd imagine one of those two. And then Eriksen's definitely going to play. There's a good chance Sissoko might be in there. There's Ali as well.
Wanyama fit?
I don't think so. I think it's mainly he likes playing Sissoko. He likes having on the pitch and he runs about. So I don't think it's the worst thing for us to have two guys who can match them in terms of physicality. Because Eriksen's the key. So who can someone get on him? Yeah. And I would still back us to create chances with what we've got against their defence. They've got very good defenders, don't get me wrong, but I don't think, to be honest, I'd back half on free against anyone. So it's one of those.
The formation thing's interesting because I think our 4-3-3 was crafted to beat the 4-2-3-1. That's why and that was always the difference. Everyone plays 4-2-3-1, but the truly elite teams play more of a 4-3-3 and variations on how attacking you want to go that. With City being their absolute top end, but it's basically 4-1-5. Yeah, you know. I mean. No, obviously for obvious reasons.
Good match, mate.
But it feels like, I mean, honestly, given the way they bend the rules, you never know. They'll probably fucking try it and then fucking hide it in fucking emails after the fact. Like,
never mind.
Fuzzy Whispers have got that league team.
never mind that we cheated. The real issue is that you hacked our email. You took a picture of our formation on the pitch. It's your fault.
Never mind. It's not important that you caught me banging someone else. It's that you took photos of me banging someone else. I didn't give permission for you to take photos of me having intercourse with someone else. Honestly, where's Ben when you need him? Yeah. So all that. Ultimately, tough to. The good thing is, what it comes down to again is options. Is something me and Chris talked about on the podcast day. Yep. We're getting to that stage of the season now where yes, we're not 100% all there ready to go, but instead of it, and Spurs are kind of going. I feel like Spurs are getting to that point there. I think they're going to go all in on the Champions League. They're going to, they'll have some winnable games to come. Hopefully, secure top 4 for them because I'm not asked.
As long as it's not United.
Yeah, exactly. But that's where their energy will fall. I predicted from the start of the season they would struggle toward the back end because of just how the World Cup exertions. They just had too many people played too deep in the World Cup. Yeah. We, on the other hand, and fingers crossed and touch wood, and I'm literally going to fucking get up to touch wood.
There's a chair.
Because it's too important.
Nice to be relaxed as well.
We've got.
I meant me.
Oh, for you.
Yeah, it was right in my face. It's fine. I don't mind. I'm not complaining. That morning glory's back.
We're talking about Naby Keita's back in training. Adam Lallana's finally finding form. We've got Oxlade-Chamberlain back in training. Joe Gomez back in training. This is not perfect, but this is so unusual a situation that this is what you're looking for.
Yeah, in previous seasons our legs have fell off. We come back from this international break and
we recognise this. I can see it in Spurs because I recognise it in us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. We've come back off this exact. I remember going that run when we had to secure top 4. Well, last 2 seasons. Like Emre Can's won the goal at Watford and stuff, where we were literally picking 11 lads because there was no, and it was go again.
We battered West Ham away, but we did that with like Origi and Sturridge up front and Lallana playing.
And then it was 4-2-2, wasn't
it? We've struggled at Watford. We've gone to West Brom and had to dog it. We've had 0-0s against Stoke and stuff where we've just looked tired.
Like worldy saves.
We've looked really tired, and that's how Tottenham have seemed to me in the last few weeks. Again, they've had a lot of players on international duty. Similar to ourselves, they don't know how fit they all are. It's a strange one, but I'm in a point where if you'd have offered me what we've got now in terms of fitness, you'd have probably taken it, wouldn't you? Touch wood. There's not a massive. You can cope. There's no big ones. There's no someone's done their cruciate like has happened around this time in previous years. So. Yeah, I think we're as good as we could probably wish for in terms of squad health.
Yeah, the interesting thing is obviously you saying got all these guys back and they're back in training. A guy I think is going to be huge coming back is Salah. Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what fans have been crying out for since the start of the season, is give him a break. Yeah. Going from Champions League to getting injured to playing for Egypt to coming straight back into pre-season again, and he just hasn't had a rest.
And I think he had a proper rest, didn't he, Ronaldo?
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully this is what he needs. He just needs to recharge, cut his mind away from football and politics and everything, like I say, being plunged into the media, and just go back to being human and just sort of take yourself out the limelight and then come back and finish these 7 games the way you started it.
Yeah, absolutely, brilliant. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Salah's the interesting one. This feels like this could be it. You know, he's got a good record against Spurs in particular. I don't care how he does it. He needs psychologically, he needs that goal.
Yeah.
Get to that 50 goals, and I just contend. My deep gut feeling on this is that the second he gets that, you know, I don't think he'll do it. I think it's kind of like the Ian Wright thing or the sort of thing. He'll score 2. You know, in the game that he does it, he'll score 2, he'll score a hat-trick or something mad. Like, it'll just be like, you know, Andy Dufresne and the Shawshank Redemption, you know, like, big one of those watershed moments in his life.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Right, we're going to do a little bit briefly looking at Man City and some score predictions in a sec. But Ste and I did a fantastic show on the redmentv.com, the run-in special, where all of this stuff that we've kind of been hinting at and alluding at, looking at what is happening with Liverpool and with Manchester City between now and the end of the season, domestically, Champions League, what it means, the fixture congestion, the fixture pile-up, when the big things are going to be happening, and ultimately how Liverpool are going to, touch wood, construct a double. Is a little clip from that.
We get the extra day's rest before we then go to Cardiff, which I think we've just seen. I think Fulham there was a little bit of European hangover. Depending on what happens around Porto, there definitely could be something there as well.
Yeah.
If Liverpool, Ross, are going to do anything, and you know, if we're banking on the City dropped pointsness of the league, you're looking, this is the spell. So you're talking Palace, Tottenham, United, Burnley. You're pinning your hopes that it's one of those games that's where they slip up. They have to slip up for us to win the league. This is the scenario where big European game, they're either through, and you might get a little bit of Lord's Mayor's show after it. They might have beat Spurs, and Spurs are very much up for revenge, knowing now that their European fate hangs on a top 4 finish rather than actually win the damn thing. Liverpool go to a Cardiff team who will be battling relegation, but Liverpool should beat them. If you don't beat Cardiff, then
don't deserve it.
Then unlucky lads, you know, you fucked it yourselves. So this game week 4, this is where Liverpool, I think, could turn the screw. If anything's going to happen, I've kind of circled this bit of their run of, they go so Palace, and then they go Spurs, Palace, Spurs, United. That, I mean, as runs go, that's a fucking cunt.
And what's interesting, sorry Ross, is that obviously we've got the following game week, as we mentioned. You're then going into potential Champions League semi-final territory as well, which is just, it's brutal.
It was a belter of a show.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm really, you hosted it expertly.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, it was
a lot of pressure on because I was literally sat opposite you watching.
It was like interviewing Parkinson. I think that's what it was like for me. I felt like I was under pressure. No, it was interesting just to go through not just who's obviously who each other are playing, but when. I think that's such a key thing that you know who you're playing when you come back from a Champions League game, or you know, you go away to Porto or you go away to Tottenham, who's next? Because that's when it can be difficult.
Yeah.
It was interesting, and like you say, we planned a path to the double. I mean, we had Man City winning their own double as well.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
Just not the good one.
Yeah.
I think if the world's fair, we can both win 2.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
In fact, you know what, I think they won the Charity Shield, so they can even have more trophies than us this season.
Yeah.
We'll just have the League and the Champions League ones.
The League Cup and FA Cup double is a perfectly good double.
Champions League as well. Call it a treble if you want, lads. We'll just take the 2 big ones, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
If the world's fair.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, watch that show. It's on the redmentv.com. It's free for the first month. You can go and try it out, see how you get on with it. Really, really good. It's over an hour. Really in depth. The feedback's been brilliant on it. The amount of people who've messaged us and said, like, it really got me through it, because you can get the audio versions if you want to go to the gym and you're on a long commute and you're really struggling with this stuff. We'll get you through it. If you've got time to sit down, put your feet up, get it on the telly, you can do that as well, of course. And you can get all the stuff in your podcast app, so you can take it on the go as well. Man City, as mentioned, Fulham, early kick-off Saturday. It would be absolutely foolish of us, Bailey, to think this is going to be anything other than City trouncing Fulham all over the place.
We literally said the ideal draw would be, the ideal game after a break would be Fulham at home. And who City got? Fulham at home.
That's kind of why I said it, to be fair.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't that you really chose.
You picked the second worst team in the league, which was just. But yeah, it's that. Like I say, I stopped worrying about City. I turned my notifications off on the Premier League app for City about 2 months ago now, because it's just it's all gone out the window for me. I think it's, again, do what we do best and just let the chips fall where they may. And if an upset happens, then brilliant. But I'm not gonna look for it.
Spoiler from our show, I think we all agreed City are going to win the next 2 games. We would think I think it's Fulham and Cardiff. It's after that day where I'm going to probably start tuning in and wishing when they got runs, they got Palace and they got United and they got Tottenham.
I said we got asked by BT to be involved in something about because they had both the games of the week and we had the Burnley game and like we watched Liverpool fans watching the City game and I was like, no Liverpool fans are going to do that. I said, but maybe as it progresses, maybe when it starts to heat up, as you say, and the advice is more wide ranging and more in depth than this on the running show. But there's a spell bang in the middle of the remaining fixtures where Man City are either going to hit the wall and crumble, or they're going to fucking smash through the wall and and it'll all be done and it'll be academic. Yeah. And if they do that, then taking apart all the, putting aside all of the financial things, which I think is an issue that obviously needs to be looked into, blah, 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 you'd have to kind of doff your cap and go, even with a super squad, it's still bloody impressive that they've done that. So the focus remains on us. Liverpool just need to keep winning games and keep stressing Man City out and know that we've just played less football. We should have more in the tank. It's going to come down to, for me, they've got more bodies and they've got more quality in rotation, I think. But I think we've got not too far off, but I think we've got more in the tank in terms of how we've rotated and also in terms of not having played as much football as they have.
And what they've got coming up as well.
Exactly, and just they have that extra game. Yeah. It's the points on the board thing that we've got that they don't have. Yes, that it's in their hands, but they've still got to go and win that, and that's it. And that's why it's impossible. It's impossible to pick, but it's either way, it's going to end up being probably the most unbelievable Premier League season ever because you're going to get a record points tally for the top 2 teams in the history of.
I'll hold my hand up and say there will be a time soon where I tune in. Madly supporting the other team who City are playing, and God forbid that could even be Man United, which I don't know how I'm going to do, what I'm going to do, but
it's beat myself up afterwards.
There's going to be a point where I'm not going to bother watching City be Fulham and hoping and really backing Fulham. And listen, if Fulham can go and do something, fantastic, good on yous. But it's not the game where I'm sitting down tuning in for because. It's almost a waste of energy.
I think City fans will be tuning in this weekend.
And rightly so.
Well, it's a big game. Yeah. But I think the Newcastle game, their Newcastle game when they dropped points was the perfect example of this. And I preached it then. Switch off to it to the best of your ability. I know it's hard because people consume football differently to me. And when you're younger, you've got nothing but time. When I was 15, 16, 17, the footy wasn't around as much, so you couldn't pay attention to it as much as you can now. You can watch it. You can watch every game. Fuck off. You can watch you can literally watch every game that's on at the moment.
Listen to it on the wireless.
Yeah, on the old wireless.
And it's Man City, so it's 6 and 7 to 0.
From inside me Anderson shelter.
Players scored at all, City are winning 1-0.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nicky, some of these scores for City.
Kenneth Wolstenholme was the commentary, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But the point is that there's people now who are so obsessed with football that they consume every game of football they possibly can. And I know it's weird to do. That might be weird for me to say this to people, but do yourself a favour. All that lies down that path is mental illness.
It's an Aguero hat-trick.
Exactly. No happiness exists down that path. Maybe the off chance. So the thing is, do it. Ditch your notifications. Trust me, when Fulham are fucking 2-0 up. With 20 minutes to go, you'll know because you'll get texts, text messages and phone calls when people actually use their voice across the device in your hand to talk to you directly. They'll ring your landline and all that stuff.
If Ryan Babel scores, do you think there will ever have been a more disparity than his celebration against what he did against us to how we will celebrate the goal? Because he really didn't want to score that goal. He looked for every way out of scoring it, and then ultimately had to score it. Where if he scores against City, it could be the absolute chalk and cheese.
Is there something to, but just thinking of Bailey and how his season's panned out so far, of like B4B3L, something like that. 96th minute, Ryan Babel. Will you dye your hair red like Ryan Babel if he scores the winning goal?
I can do dyeing hair, so I'm not getting a tattoo of Babel. So
he is only the prototype Origi, mate, to be fair.
He's just the original.
Okay,
so Bailey will dye his hair red if Babel scores.
Yeah, I'll dye my hair red if he scores the winner.
I'd offer that, but I would.
It wouldn't last long.
You'd look more like Babel.
Yeah, it is very short, his hair, isn't
Can we
it? Like
just
he's got a
paint your
swimming
head
cap on.
red?
Can we
Yeah,
just
right.
write Babel on the top
Can
of
we
it?
just spray some silly string on your head red or something like that? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
that's fine.
I'm
Right, gauntlet set.
Brilliant. Score predictions then for us?
I've noticed that every time I'm on the show, I always go 3-0. So I'm going to say 3-0.
Okay, cool.
I think it's going to be nervy. I'm going to go 2-1.
I'll take, yeah, I think it 2-1.
Spurs are good. I think they've got a good team. I know they're in bad form, but they're a good team.
Oh, you know what? Bollocks to it.
7-0.
4-1 to Liverpool.
That's fine.
Why not? Put them in the
what you
place,
need.
please.
Salah
Just
hat-trick.
do it, Liverpool, and let's roar onto the finish line from there. Score predictions then in the comments section underneath. That would be very, very much appreciated. Yeah, watch the rest of the content over on the redmentv.com. Subscribe, as I say, start your free month trial. It's £5 a month thereafter, so it supports everything we do. You know, the YouTube stuff is free because of the wonderful people who subscribe to the website. It funds the whole endeavour. So yeah, please do get involved if you like what we do and you want more of it. There's tons of extra content, podcast and video form. Or if you just fancy supporting the show, by all means do just that. And we did a major announcement on the podcast as well. Me and Chris have got our own channel where we chat shit. We'll link to that underneath and we'll annotate to it at the end of this video as well. Other than that, guys, thank you. You're welcome.
Wait, sorry.
I know we chat shit on this
Yeah,
channel.
I was saying, how is that different than this? Where's the unique selling point?
It's exclusively separate.
Yeah,
You get exclusive
There's
shit.
not as much Liverpool shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's the stuff that we get bollocked for talking about on here that we can talk about.
Brexit.
Hashtag bollocks to Brexit. Brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone. See you all very, very soon at the weekend, no less. Ta-ra.